Welcome everyone. If you're watching this live or if you're watching it on a recorded side of it. Tonight we're going to go over two things. I'm just going to do a quick review of Move, Fight, Recover, and then we'll go into what is Move as the first part of it. Should be quick and pretty easy. So Move, Fight, Recover is kind of the easy way to think about all the things. It's a simplified version of the 4 coactive model, which is your physical, psychological, technical, and tactical. I like the way Buddy Morris specifies it in that order. In that order, it determines that if your physical state is not optimized, you're probably not going to have an optimized psychological state. If you don't have an optimized psychological state, you're not going to be able to execute technical skills, and which in turn determines the tactics that you can use. And all of that should be surrounded by a base of health. So the Move, Fight, Recover is the 80% solution when done training for and playing team sports. So that's kind of what I see is the 80% solution. You can rotate through the seasons. I recommend a small ball, stick, racket, paddle type sport, golf, softball, hockey, pickleball, a large ball type sport, soccer, rugby, football, basketball, locomotive, run, bike, swim, obstacle course racing, adventure racing. I know Ned last time had brought up mountain biking. I would probably put that in locomotive also. And then martial arts, I recommend 1 grappling and 1 striking. RPR level 1 is probably the 80% solution for most injury prevention, neurological pattern development, and pain mitigation. And then precision nutrition is probably the 80% solution for the health side of it. Fueling for performance and the baseline of the physical components, allowing you to have the attributes needed to actually execute all the skills. So that is the basics of Move, Fight, Recover. Mick, do you have any questions for the group that might help them?
Would you talk a little bit about that precision nutrition being 80% of the health equation?
Yeah. So basically, precision nutrition now is broader than just nutrition. They've expanded into what are the psychological, social aspects of the individual that you're coaching. And so with that, I think that kind of covers a lot of the bases of almost a 4 coactive model, but more from the health standpoint. So by getting the nutrition right, you're probably going to get a good chunk of the health right. By getting your environment correct, you're probably going to get a good chunk of the psychological correct, along with the physical components. So they're all kind of intertwined, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. All right, cool. Yeah, so yeah, that's going over some of the precision nutrition material you've passed on to me so far. I can see that. Like, I know tracking stuff right now, like I'm seeing the difference with sleep and nutrition. So yeah,
for sure. And then that's what the other things too. I mean, you start bringing in sleep and environment and, you know, all those other aspects, it kind of wraps everything up into a nice bow. And I think between those 3 things, you've got the Move, Fight, Recover method for your a lot of your training and physical stuff. You've got the RPR for your pain mitigation and your injury prevention, and then you've got the precision nutrition stuff, kind of laying the foundation of the cellular level, along with, you know, all those other little things that make up rest and recovery and all that other stuff. All right, so moving into what is the Move portion. This is actually going to be pretty quick, pretty fast. The last couple of weeks, you guys have probably seen me post. Now that I finally got unshadow banned from Instagram, I've been posting my Move sessions, which is basically just cardiac output primarily. But what is it? So expanded, you could call it the move to a position of dominance. Is that a gunfight term? Yes and no, but it could also be a jiu-jitsu position of dominance. It could be a position that has high ground in a tactical application. It could be a position that gives you advantage. So there's a lot of different kind of aspects to whatever you want to consider a position of dominance. You could even say life in general. If you're in a good financial position, you may have a position of dominance in the market. So all factors that get your human body into positions need to execute technical skills. So that's basically the gist. I look at the progression as joint mobility is probably the first thing you should focus on. And the difference between joint mobility and mobility is that joint mobility is more the circular rotations, the into flow, that kind of thing, versus mobility is, can you get into a position or a joint into the right angle versus the joint rotation mobility type stuff. Then we're looking at movement stuff. So you're looking at like your parkour, your jujitsu ground drills. You're looking at just kind of general movement skill. Like, can you get into a good squat position without too many issues? Then we're looking at the locomotion side of it, which is what we're talking about with the cardiac output and a lot of the other stuff. So there's actually a lot of components that we already do, the joint mobility, the mobility, and the movement skills before we even get to locomotion. And then after that, you've got your actual skills, your technical skills that kind of develop from there. Mick, what questions do you have on the move portion?
No, that covers it really well. The move part, like looking at the little graph there of joint mobility, movement, locomotion, skills. That's sort of been what I have noticed in the programming is once with RPR and TACFit,
Yep.
getting my joint mobility and mobility back, my locomotion movement has been much better, and it's translated over to skill stuff as well.
Yep. And that's kind of the key, is if you do not have good joint mobility, your joints are not getting the right nutrients. So from a health standpoint, that's going to have limitations. But then if you can't move into a position, it's really hard to execute technical skills. So we want to get that mobility going and then have some movement skills where you're starting to put those pieces together, move it into some locomotion and sprinting, and then you can actually execute technical skills.
Yep.
And that is what I have for moves. So short, quick, and sweet. Mick, if you don't have any other questions, I'll kind of end it there.
On locomotion, like I know right now in the Maverick program, we're doing long steady state cardio.
Yep.
And then I'm assuming as we get into triphasic, are we going to start moving into that sprint paradigm a little bit more?
Yeah. So, and I don't think this program that has a lot of actual sprint stuff, so much as just one that I just have to remember off the top of my head is like a 3-mile assault bike as fast as you can go. It kind of sucks, but
right.
It's a sprint.
Yeah.
It's just a very long sprint. So it does get into that faster stuff. I did upload, so Cal has put out 2 videos on conditioning, one for sled and one for bike. And I did put both those PDFs into the Google Drive, and those are pretty cool. So they're just kind of like, hey, if you're working on speed, here's the weight, not necessarily the weight, but here's the distance you should be achieving in 10 seconds. And same with the bike. Here's, the number of repetitions on one leg you should achieve within 10 seconds based off what skill you're looking for.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. No, I don't have any other questions on the move part of it. Again, it's my experience with the programming right now has been the joint mobility movement has really translated over to the skills part for me, especially on the jiu-jitsu mat. So good stuff.
Absolutely. Cool. Yeah, I'm just trying to expand some of this stuff out and kind of get the ideas out there. I've had this stuff in my head for a long time and I just never put it on a presentation. So I figured I'd start doing that.
Looks awesome. I like it.
All right. Well, I will end the recording there.